Have you ever stopped and thought about this? How is it possible that a machine weighing over 500,000 kilograms doesn't just stay glued to the ground, but calmly flies across the oceans for hours? Today we'll break down how airplanes actually fly, and I promise, after this video, you'll never look at a takeoff the same way again. To understand the scale, think about the Airbus A380, the largest passenger aircraft ever built. Its maximum takeoff weight is around 575 metric tons, roughly the weight of a fully loaded freight train, and this aircraft doesn't just jump into the air, it climbs to 35,000 to 40,000 feet and flies at about 900 kilometers per hour for 10, 12, sometimes 15 hours straight. By common sense, something that heavy should stay stuck to the ground, but physics says otherwise. Everything you see in modern aviation is the result of over a century of science, engineering, failed prototypes, and relentless experimentation. At first, humans learned to rise into the sky using hot air balloons, but that wasn't controlled flight. That was floating. In the 19th century, Sir George Cayley separated the concepts of lift and thrust and realized that wings needed a specific shape. Otto Lilienthal made hundreds of glider flights studying how air behaves around a curved wing. Then came the breakthrough. In 1903, the Wright brothers proved something revolutionary. A heavier-than-air machine could achieve controlled powered flight. Their airplane stayed in the air for only 12 seconds, but it changed the world forever. After that, progress accelerated. World War I drove rapid advances in engines, aerodynamics, and aircraft structures. Metal airframes replaced wood. Designs became stronger and faster. In 1952, the de Havilland Comet became the first commercial jet airliner. In 1970, the Boeing 747 connected continents at scale. And decades later, the Airbus A380 showed that even a 500-ton aircraft could be efficient, quiet, and remarkably stable. But despite all the innovation, the core principle never changed. Flight is always about balance. So how does all that metal stay in the air? The answer lies in four fundamental forces. Every airplane in flight is governed by 1. Weight, gravity pulling it downward. 2. Lift generated by the wings, acting upward. 3. Thrust produced by the engines, pushing it forward. And 4. Drag, air resistance slowing it down. Think of it like a dynamic balance scale. When lift equals weight, the airplane maintains altitude. When thrust equals drag, it maintains constant speed. The moment there's an imbalance, acceleration happens. If the net force points upward, the aircraft climbs. If it points forward, it accelerates. There's no magic involved, just forces in balance. But that leads to the real question: where does lift actually come from? You've probably heard the common explanation: air traveling over the top of the wing has a longer path, so it must move faster, which creates lift. That explanation is incomplete. Lift exists because a wing changes how air moves around it. A wing has a specific airfoil shape, curved on top and flatter underneath. During flight, the wing is slightly angled relative to the oncoming airflow. This is called the angle of attack. As air flows around the wing, the flow over the top accelerates. Pressure above the wing decreases, while pressure below remains higher. That pressure difference creates an upward force, but that's only part of the story. The wing doesn't just create lower pressure, it also deflects air downward. And according to Newton's third law, if the wing pushes air downward, the air pushes the wing upward with equal and opposite force. Bernoulli and Newton aren't competing explanations. They describe the same physical process from two perspectives. Lift is the result of pressure differences and the downward deflection of airflow, and that's what keeps hundreds of tons suspended in the sky. One key factor that determines how much lift a wing produces is the angle of attack. This is the angle between the wing's chord line and the incoming airflow. When a pilot pulls back on the control column during takeoff, the nose rises and the angle of attack increases. This changes the pressure distribution around the wing. Air over the top surface accelerates more, pressure drops further. Circulation around the wing increases, and airflow is deflected downward more strongly. As a result, the lift coefficient, CL, increases, meaning lift also increases. But there's a limit. Lift doesn't increase indefinitely with the angle of attack. It only grows up to a maximum value known as CL max. Beyond that point, the airflow over the upper surface can no longer stay attached. It separates, pressure distribution collapses, and lift drops sharply. That's what we call a stall, and this is where speed becomes critical. Lift is described by an equation. You don't need to memorize the formula, but one thing matters: velocity is squared. That means if speed doubles, lift increases 4 times. If speed is halved, lift drops to a quarter. And we're talking about airspeed, the speed relative to the surrounding air. The faster the airplane moves, the more air mass flows around the wing each second. The more air it can redirect downward, the more lift it produces. That's why an airplane can't just jump off the runway. Before takeoff, it must accelerate until lift equals weight. At that precise moment, the airplane lifts off. Not because it became lighter than air, but because aerodynamic forces reached equilibrium. We've already talked about pressure differences. Now let's look at the same process from another angle: momentum. A wing doesn't just create low pressure. It creates a pressure distribution that causes the airflow behind the wing to tilt downward. This is called downwash. Every second, a massive amount of air flows around the wing. Aerodynamic forces change the direction of that flow, giving it a downward component of velocity. And according to Newton's third law, if the wing gives the air downward momentum, the air gives the wing an equal upward momentum. Lift is essentially the rate of change of the air's momentum. The airplane isn't just sitting in the sky, it's continuously interacting with the airflow, redirecting it. But what happens when the aircraft needs to fly slowly, like during takeoff or landing? That's where high lift devices on the wings come into play. If you look out the window before takeoff, you'll see the wing change shape. Flaps extend from the rear, slats extend from the front, creating a slot. Aerodynamically, this does 3 main things. First, it slightly increases the effective wing area. Second, it significantly increases the camber, the curvature of the airfoil. The increase in lift coefficient, CL, allows the wing to generate more lift at lower speeds, while slats help keep airflow attached, delaying stall. This allows safe operation at lower speeds during takeoff and landing. Commercial airplanes fly at 35,000 to 40,000 feet. Because the air is thinner, drag is lower, and fuel efficiency improves. As the plane climbs, it burns less fuel, and cold air improves engine efficiency. Takeoff is a precise sequence of speeds: V1, decision to continue if an engine fails; VR, rotation when the nose rises; and V2, minimum safe climb speed with one engine inoperative. As speed increases, lift equals weight, and the airplane takes off. In cruise, the airplane maintains dynamic equilibrium, where lift equals weight and thrust equals drag. During descent, thrust is reduced and lift decreases, allowing a controlled glide. Flaps increase lift before landing, and the flare softens vertical speed. After landing, spoilers and thrust reversers slow the plane, transferring its weight to the landing gear. Every time you watch a large airliner take off, it seems like it's defying gravity, but it's not breaking the laws of physics, it's using them. Lift, thrust, drag, angle of attack all exist in precise balance. To me, that's the real beauty of aviation. It's not magic, but exact calculations and respect for the laws of nature. If you liked the video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.